Tonight on Joy News Prime, death toll in NASIA bridge accident now 11. As it emerges, the driver fell asleep behind the wheel of the Garu-bound bus carrying 45 passengers.
It's happened that the ladies tell us that the driver is sleeping on. So the time he said the driver is sleeping, in a few minutes, then it happened.
Supreme Court panel hearing 2020 election petition warns lawyers for former President John Mahama he could suffer sanctions, including having his petition thrown out if they continue to disobey orders.
Of the day on Wednesday, the 27th of January 2021, failing which this court will proceed to invoke the sanctions imposed on this court by the rules of court.
Lawyers for President Akufo-Addo have meanwhile described the petitioner's conduct as theatrics.
The Supreme Court is not a forum for organized, rehearsed, and choreographed theatricals.
In another development, retired Supreme Court Judge Justice William Atugova, who presided over the 2012 election petition, cautions the parties involved in the 2020 petition.
Anybody involved in that process should remember that it is an exercise in the interests of justice, in the interests of Ghana.
President Akufo-Addo and other statesmen paid their respects to former President Rawlings, Ghana's longest-serving ruler.
He invited me to his house and went around the vehicles and said that, is this a bulletproof car?
We'll bring you more of the tributes from the event. We also bring you excerpts of a Joy News documentary on the life of former President Rawlings to be premiered on Wednesday.
The first was the last coup d'etat that we had in Ghana. I want to give him the credit for ending coup d'etat.
In business, all human contacts eliminated at the ports as customs officials intensify measures to curb spread of COVID-19 there. And to help stop the spread of COVID-19 in its traditional area, the Ogwa Manghin has been out handing out masks and hand sanitizers.
People must be made aware that we can avoid the impact of this pandemic if we wear face masks, sanitizers, wash our hands under running water.
My name is Israel. Joy News Prime is coming to you live from our Final Four studios at Kokomlimli here in Accra, on your digital terrestrial TV because we're free to air, and also on DSTV channel 421 and GoTV channel 144. This is a home of independent, fearless, credible, and impactful journalism. Do stay tuned in. In our first story, the number of people killed in the Tuesday dawn accident at Wale in the northeast region has gone up to 11. The death toll was confirmed by health personnel treating the injured. The accident on the NASIA bridge involved a commercial vehicle with 45 passengers traveling from Kumasi to Boku. There's more in this report.
Still not clear what caused the accident, but while some passengers are accusing the driver of sleep driving, the driver insists he was crossed by a herd of roaming cattle. All of a sudden, I saw a cattle crossing the road, and I applied the bridge and lost control, and the vehicle ran into the bridge. Eyewitnesses say the vehicle rammed into the NASIA bridge and somersaulted multiple times before landing in the middle of the road.
The thing is happened that the ladies tell us that the driver is sleeping on. So the time he said the driver is sleeping, in a few minutes, then it happened. So for that time, some drivers passing by, they say that the driver came and passed, they stopped dropping some people, then he passed. Then the driver confirm that the driver is sleeping. He dazing and go and they say, oh, for this one, the driver it can't go anywhere. Just fuel you, then you get the accident.
So what happened? How did the accident happen? Did you see how it happened?
Oh, the time I'm in the middle, I didn't see in the front, but it come. The time I see that gigi, it come, then fall down.
So when the car fell down, what happened to the passengers?
Okay, I come out first, then stop the cars, then trying for help to help me, started removing.
What did you see? What did you see among your colleagues? Some of them, were they injured?
Oh, some are died immediately, but I can't confirm that 4 or 5. We started removing them, they taking them away. Removing them away inside the car, then they taken away. Some collapsed. So you can't confirm that they collapsed or they died. But some died immediately here for me to see them.
At the scene, security and fire service personnel conducting rescue operation were struggling to clear the destroyed vehicle from the road. Joy News also gathered that the accident occurred at about 3 a.m., but the rescue operation delayed as it was hampered by lack of ambulance to carry the victim to the hospital. The situation has caused a massive gridlock on the Tamale-Bolga highway as vehicles traveling on the road have been stuck as personnel are struggling to clear the damaged vehicle. Some of the passengers traveling on the road spoke to Joy News.
From the Upper East region and I'm traveling to Tamale. That's the northern region. I'm having a case at the court, so I'm supposed to be in the court around 10 a.m. And as of now, an accident has occurred here, and we are standing here. We have been standing here for about 30 minutes now, but others have been standing here for long.
Where?
From Bolga, we're going to Tamale. We came and we heard that there's an accident at the bridge over there. So we have been stuck here for almost 30 minutes now.
Meanwhile, head of the ambulance service at Wale Wale has apologized for the service's inability to respond to the fatal road accident at NASIA in which 11 lives were lost.
We were called, and because our car is out of commission due to the brakes that was faulty, we were returning from an emergency from Tamale when the brakes got faulty. And then with the brakes, we cannot risk the life of the passengers and that of other passengers and patients that may be in the vehicle. So we have reported the incident and we are organizing to come and send mechanics to come and work on it. So when we received the call, we contacted the hospital because they also have ambulances. So we asked them for support and they went to assist in the accident. So it is not that we intentionally refused to attend the accident or the car was in commission and then we deliberately booked it out of commission. And you can see we are still at post. It's not that we have abandoned the office because of the car out of commission. But it was really due to the faulty of the ambulance. It is normal because of the way we operate. Here is an accident-prone zone, so we do a lot of journeys with regards to transportation.
The Supreme Court panel hearing the 2020 election petition seeking to set aside the result is giving lawyers for former President John Mahama until close of work Thursday to file their witness statement. The trial, which was due to have started on Tuesday, had to be moved due to the petitioner's failure to comply with the court's order. Lawyers for the NDC presidential candidate in the 2020 election had argued they had outstanding concerns which they wanted addressed first. The justices, however, told them they could face sanctions, including a dismissal of the petition, should they fail to comply with the court's order. Court correspondent Joseph Akable has more.
So hearing commenced first with the Justice of the Supreme Court asking whether its orders to the lawyers in the case had been complied with. Mr. Litha informed the court that his side had failed to file the witness statement, and this was an issue of concern to the panel.
Look, since then we have filed an application for stay of proceedings, which is scheduled to be heard today. So our understanding
of application for stay of proceedings is that you don't file the processes ordered by the court because you have filed an application for stay of proceedings.
My Lord, in fact, the application is actually intended to hold matters. That's our understanding. Pending the... I beg your pardon, my Lord.
Then we don't even have to sit.
My Lord, I didn't
That is what your understanding of the state of proceeding. Then we don't even have to sit as a court.
The Supreme Court is a very busy place. The Supreme Court is not a forum for organized, rehearsed, and choreographed theatricals or melodrama. It's a place for real, hard, and serious legal work. It's not for flurry of literature, long prose, and rather dull English, devoid of any legal merit. I want to advise my colleagues on the other side that if it ain't broken, don't attempt to fix it. We are ready for them on Thursday.
The language that he employed this morning is unacceptable in describing the actions of petitioners' lawyers as theatricals, in describing us as persons who intend to be intransigent and disobedient to the orders of the court. I am sure that Frank Davis knows, Mr. Frank Davis knows, that all the applications that we have brought are within the framework of the law.
The court after recess did announce that it reserves the right to dismiss the petition should its orders not be complied with, as it gave some further directives as to how the case should proceed.
Petitioner is again directed to file his witness statement on the matters raised in his petition and other pleadings, and his response to the preliminary objections by close of the day on Wednesday, the 27th of January 2021, failing which this court will proceed to invoke the sanctions imposed on this court by the rules of court. The petition is thus adjourned to Thursday, the 28th of January 2021 for hearing.
So hearing of the case continues on January 28, and there are a number of outstanding issues that needs to be dealt with. The first is a request that the court reviews its decision related to the interrogatories ruling. There is also the debate about the court dealing with the interrogatories request as soon as possible, among other matters that are all of importance to the petitioner and the respondents in this particular matter. Reporting for Joy News from the Supreme Court, my name is Joseph Akable.
Now let me take you back briefly to the year 2013.
We take judicial notice of the fact that Mr. Samuel Awuku has been attending the proceedings of this court in this ongoing case. We think that the exclusion of Mr. Samuel Awuku from attending the proceedings of this court for the rest of the duration of this case should suffice for a start in this direction. That is our delivery.
Thank you.
Now, we've given you full opportunity to demonstrate how mighty you are, and we hope you've done so.
My lords,
do you now realize your real size in this country?
Yes, my lords.
Good. You are discharged.
Thank you, my lords.
The Supreme Court Judge Justice William Atugoba rebuking then National Youth Organizer of the NPP, Samuel Awuku, during the election petition of 2012. That member of the judiciary who showed people their real size has since retired. He has, however, been following the 2020 election petition and is cautioning all the parties involved to be guided by the supreme interest of the nation, adding that the law operates quite differently from other disciplines. He spoke to my colleague Elton Brobe.
Anybody involved in that process should remember that it is an exercise in the interests of justice, in the interests of Ghana. These are the only two things. And whether you are a lawyer or whatever, if you look only at that and allow your conscience and the fear of God to direct you, and pray for the graces of God to take control, things will be fine for everybody. When the outcome comes, everybody will be happy. What we have to remember is that law is not like mathematics, which has infrangible answers. uninfrangible answers. 1 + 1 is always 2. 3 × 3 is 9. That is straight jacket, equation. But when you come to the application of law, it's a bit nebulous. It's jurisprudential, so many principles come to play, broad principles of jurisprudence, the letter of the law, all those things. So it's not an easy thing. Rather, much of it can be simplified if one fixes one's mind on trying to ascertain in the interest of this country what the real justice of the matter should be.
Meanwhile, the Metropolitan Archbishop of Cape Coast, Archbishop Charles Palmer Barkle, has been speaking against undue criticism he says could hamper the work of the Supreme Court. He says the institution must be allowed to do its work and its decision respected in the end. He's been speaking with my colleague Gifty Andwapia.
It's over and done with. Let's move on with government and let's move on with the court case and let the court decide. That is for me. The elections are done and let's see what the courts will come up with. Finished. Do you understand? I think we should respect the institution of the judiciary and let the judiciary deal with the issue. Period. If we don't empower the institutions to do their work, we are always going to be in difficulty. I mean, look at what happened in America. Look at how powerful the institution has been. Look at how powerful the Congress has been. Look at how powerful, So that's where we are at. Let the institutions do what must be done. The executive, the legislature, and especially the judiciary. Let's respect them. That's the bottom line. Let's respect the people we have put in place and let them deal with the issues. For me, that is where the bottom line is. It's got nothing to do with who wins, who does not win. It's got to do with helping to build solid institutions with good foundations, institutions that we all respect. Institutions are human. They are made up of human beings. There will always be a difference of opinion. It's never possible for everybody to agree with what they say and everything. But we can't forever sit there getting all other opinions except that which we have agreed that this is the institution to give us the direction, to give us the way forward. You're
watching Journeys from Way, taking a brief still ahead in the bulletin. President Akufo-Addo and other statesmen pay their respects to former President Rawlings, Ghana's longest-serving ruler. The tributes have meanwhile continued to pour in, including one from former Speaker of Parliament, Edward Doe Ajawo, who recalls some of the lamentations of the late statesman.
Remember the bulletproof car. He invited me to his house and went around the vehicles and said, is this a bulletproof car?
Former Speaker of Parliament Edward Doe Ajawo says late former President Rawlings was deeply hurt and unhappy about an accusation he imported bulletproof vehicles into the country in 2002 during the administration of former President John Kufuor. According to him, the late president felt the story about the vehicles was meant to whip up public sentiment against him. Mr. Ajawo was at the Accra International Conference Center to pay his last respect to the former leader whose remains lie in state. He tells my colleague Elton Brobe the withdrawal of the late president's courtesies also did not go down well with him.
I have my encounter with him more when he left office, especially during the Kufuor years. And I learned a lot. I learned a lot from him during those periods. You remember the bulletproof car? You remember, if you check your records, I was the one who spoke to the media on the matter. He invited me to his house and went around the vehicles and said that, is this a bulletproof car? It was when I left there that I granted interview to the media. I was the one when the then government of President Kufuor withdrew his courtesies and privileges. I was the one who issued a statement on behalf of the then minority to say that it was not proper, it is not fair. Indeed, I had the privilege of meeting President Kufuor in Khartoum when President Kufuor was the leader of the AU mission for election at that time. I was a member of the Pan-African Parliament and I was part of that observer mission. In that, I had the opportunity of discussing this matter with President Kufuor. He had his viewpoint, I had my viewpoint. But again, we should try and treat our leaders, either in office or out of office, with decorum.
The late President Rawlings in 2014 filed a writ at an Accra Fast-Track High Court restraining Ghana's former ambassador to the United Kingdom, Professor Danso Boafo, from going ahead with the launch of a book titled J.J. Rawlings and the Democratic Transition in Ghana. Though it was the John Mahama-led NDC administration that was in power at the time, Sir Rawlings preferred to have as his counsel the NPP Member of Parliament for Ibuakwa South, Samuel Atachia. Atachia tells Alton Brobe, after filing past his coughing, the late president was nationalistic and looked beyond differences.
It's my client lying down lifeless.
Your client how?
Because I had a golden opportunity of taking out a writ in his name against Professor Danso Boafo in relation to a publication that President Rawlings felt that had undermined his credibility and integrity, and he wanted me to arrest that book. So that is when I came in close contact with him and we became very good friends. And I did that because I was surprised at why would he bypass all the NDC lawyers and come to a known and recognized MPP lawyer like me to come and give him service. But I saw clearance from the president, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo, then opposition member of parliament. I said, look, go and serve him. He served this nation for 19 years. And that association and intimacy I'll never forget.
But politically, the MPP and NDC always oppose. But today you are united in grief. What lessons can the political class learn going forward?
See, I just was enlightened about how democracies die. And one of them is to see your political rivals, they call them competitive, valid, legitimate political rivals as enemies. We are not enemies. One thing is at stake, the welfare of Ghanaians, how Ghana will prosper, how we'll free ourselves from the clutches of poverty. But when we have a hatred dimension to politics, we won't go far.
The first to file past the coffin of the late statesman on Tuesday was President Akufo-Addo and the First Lady. It was then followed by Vice President Dr. Raumia, former President Kufuor, and former President John Mahama. The Speaker of Parliament and MPs, as well as the Clergy, Council of State, the Chief Justice and the Judiciary were also there to pay their last respect. For the political actors, they say the country must work to sustain the legacy of the late President by working together.
I just cannot help but take my mind back to the era before Rawlings. I remember very well, it's vivid on my mind, the hardships that we were going through as Ghanaians, the economic hardships, the difficulties about transportation, when we have to walk long distances, when what we call essential commodities were nowhere to be found, where parents couldn't pay school fees, the agitation in our society. And then we went to church praying that God should give us a deliver. So when on that fateful morning, the voice of Rawlings was heard, Ghanaians believed that he was God sent. And since he came on the scene, he changed things. You understand? He spoke, touching our hearts, the need for us to be nationalistic, that we should put our shoulder to the wheel and work for what we want, and that we should crave for and work for social justice, probity and accountability, that whatever opportunity we have, we must use it to serve the people.
Like 5 Lieutenant Rawlings should be laid in state
for a state funeral is something that I still cannot believe. It happened so suddenly, and we're all shocked by his passing. Ghana has lost a great leader. Africa has lost a great leader. That's all I will say for now. Yes, I mean, politically, we are all for the same country, we are for the country. His contribution was great. We are all aspiring to make similar contributions so that this country can be the shining star of Africa.
He's always been what you call an epitome of courage, an epitome of forthrightness. He believes, he has convictions, and he lives by those convictions. Some of them may not be pleasant, some of them may not be what people may like, but that is his conviction, and he stands by those convictions. And all I can say is that all of us need to learn to have convictions and stand by those convictions, regardless of the circumstances we find ourselves.
Many people may not understand him, and I think that if I'll take his legacy in one direction, one aspect, he has brought Ghana this far as a peaceful country, and then as a respected country in the international community.
We're taking a break to bring you business. And in business, all human contacts are limited at the ports as customs officials intensify measures to curb spread of COVID-19 there. Stay tuned in, we'll be back in a bit.
Hello there, you're welcome to Business. I'm Charles Aite. The customs officials at the ports, that of air and land, are on high alert to prevent further surges in COVID-19 from the various entry points. Now, this is done through the migration of many port inspection activity from digital platforms. Speaking at the International Customs Day celebration in Accra, the chairman of the Implementation Committee for ICAMS, Assistant Commissioner Emmanuel Ohene, disclosed that the Commission is deploying advanced technology to ensure that physical contacts are minimized at the ports.
The Integrated Customs Management System in the year 2020, from its inception, was able to rake in close to 11.5 billion for the government in 2020. In the face of the second wave, we have developed and are in the process of introducing new facilities and new ways of conducting business, which will ensure that we reduce the physical contact. And one of such, which is for the second phase of the deployment, is to ensure that we can introduce the authorized economic operators module, which gives priority to compliant traders to clear their goods without any customs intervention. We also have in mind to deploy the second phase, what you know as the API, the Advanced Passenger Information Systems, which is going to be in collaboration with the airport authorities and all other security and stakeholders who operate at the airports to make available information and data on incoming passengers and their cargo so that we can facilitate fast clearance of goods at the airports and also profile passengers who pose high risk in any form or contact. The last is the introduction of an electronic wallet that will ensure that when you have made an overpayment, the overpayment can be credited to your e-wallet so that in the event you have another consignment coming in, you'll be in a position to benefit from the overpayment that is being kept on the e-wallet.
Well, that was the Assistant Commissioner Emmanuel Ohene, who is also the chairman of the Implementation Committee for ICAMS. Meanwhile, the Commissioner of Customs, retired Colonel Kojo Damwa, has emphasized the need for the use of artificial intelligence and other modern technologies for the activities of customs operations, especially at seaports.
Look at the way goods are cleared at borders. From a fresh perspective, non-intrusive inspection devices, blockchain, artificial intelligence, sensors, and commercial objects and other technological advances offer tangible benefits in terms of collecting, combining, sharing, and analyzing data. And these benefits should be maximized. Putting people at the center of change for a resilient and sustainable supply chain. In order to address the vulnerability of customs to systemic risks such as pandemics, customs administrations will be called upon to build on the lessons learned and ensure that no one is left behind as we move towards a deeper transformation. To create greater resilience, people should be at the center of the recovery model. Citizens around the globe have changed their daily lives drastically to adapt to the new reality. By the same token, customs are called upon to rethink and adapt the way they operate and enhance the preparedness of that staff through awareness raising and capacity building for the provision of a professional service. At the same time, resilience cannot be achieved without integrity, diversity, and inclusion. A lack of integrity in customs can distort trade and investment opportunities, undermine public trust in government, administration, and ultimately jeopardize the well-being of citizens, which in times of recovery could move to be a recipe for failure. The World Customs Organization will continue to provide guidance, help to share best practices and information, and deliver capacity building and technical assistance to support members for the achievement of the above goals.
And that'll be all for business. Sports is up next.
Many thanks for staying with us here on Joy News Prime Time to bring you sports. My name is Hans Mensah, and Ghana Premier League returnee Ahmed Toure will be making his debut for Mediama Sporting Club when the second transfer window opens on February 16. The 33-year-old who signed a 2-year deal with the Moles and Yellow on January 5th is back to the Ghana Premier League after stints with Asante Kotoko and Mediama Sporting Club. There is more in the following report.
The Burkinabe striker is raring to go, but he would have to wait until middle of February before making his debut for the Moves and Yellows. Ahmed Toure has signed a 2-year contract with the Takwa-based club after ending his stay at Guinean top flight side AS Kaloum in December last year. The 33-year-old is expected to augment the attacking department of the two-time FA Cup champions who are 9th on the Ghana Premier League log. Communications Director of Mediama Sporting Club, Patrick Akoto, cannot wait for Ahmed Toure's debut.
We know the quality of Ahmed Toure. We know what he's done in his previous 6-time chances with different clubs, especially with Kotoko and Bechem as well at some point. He's a clinical finisher. He's a goalmonger, and he's somebody that we believe, if he gets his rhythm right, he will cause a lot of problems, and it will be nightmarish and hellish for a lot of defenders. All he needs is to get the supplies from the Rashid Nortes, the Kwesi Donsus, and then we should be good to go. Of course, with a bit of luck on your side sometimes, we should be able to begin to get the Mediama team in shape, the Mediama team that everybody has touted and talked about prior to the commencement of the league. It has put a lot of expectations on the weight of our shoulders, but we believe that Toure has come in handy. We have confidence in his ability that he'll be able to help us together with his teammates as well, of course, but all will depend, of course, from the technical direction of Samuel Boadu and his backroom staff. So we have absolute confidence that he could be the game changer.
Born in Ouagadougou in 1987, Ahmed Toure has had previous stints with top Ivorian clubs Africa Sports and ASEC Mimosa, as well as Ghanaian clubs Asante Kotoko and Bechem United.
A re-elected chairman of the Ghana League Clubs Association, Kojo Fiano, says his outfit will emulate the examples of clubs associations around the world. Mr. Fiano beat Isaac Kumsin to the top position in last week's Galka polls. In the second tenure, the former Ash Gold CEO wants to rebrand and reposition the welfare body of Ghanaian football clubs. He has been speaking exclusively to Joy Sports.
Every organization must have principles. In Africa, I'm yet to hear of league clubs. But when you go to Europe, there are league clubs associations there making a lot of waves, fighting for the rights and for the good of members. And I think that is what we have to adopt. If we don't have any in Africa, we may have to go out there, then come down and try to get our neighbors to accept that league clubs associations have come to stay, so that we can take the welfare of clubs, the destiny, into our own hands and make sure that we fight for them. That is one key thing. Then we need to have a serious advocacy group that will lead to get our concerns addressed. We should not limit it to only the executives or to football people. There are people out there, when we reach out to them, they are experts. We need to approach corporate Ghana, not necessarily with palm in hand, but programs that will be acceptable to them, so that, yes, FIFA will tell you football is business. And it seems we are not seriously tackling the business side of football. We want to make our members aware that if we strike the right buttons and we do the right approaches, yes, we'll be in a business that we'll be proud of.
That's it for this installment, but Chelsea have confirmed the former PSG boss Thomas Tuchel as their new manager. I'll bring you the details later in the bulletin.
Right, time for Showbiz, and Becky Vex is here. Hello, Vex.
Hello to you, Easy. How you doing?
I'm well. How about you?
Really good in black.
I do?
You know I love black.
Oh, you do?
Black is like
I didn't know that.
my favorite color.
Okay. Well, yeah, it works really well for people who are a little fair like you.
Yeah.
I don't have that color, but...
I love white too.
Okay.
You didn't say anything about, you know.
Your outfit?
I was just waiting for you to say it's just right for you
You look good too.
Thank you. Thank you. We can continue with the news now. So episode is a dancehall artist. I don't know whether he's still not upcoming. He's still here because you know him, right?
Yeah.
You know episode.
Yeah.
So he's set to release an all explicit album.
Really?
So he's dedicating a whole album to everything explicit. This is
like
what
porno songs.
Yes. You know. Can we say that on TV? Yeah, porno songs. Yeah, and
yeah, you can say pornography. It's a word.
We asked him. I mean, what brought about this whole thing? He's going to change his looks.
I'm thinking maybe I should use a different phrase instead of porno.
Okay.
Alele songs.
Alele songs. Yes, Alele songs. Let's get an explanation from episode.
But then works have already started. Videos have been shot. So, you know, just keep it on the low. The very day you see that the look change, if you not say we spark that.
Okay, so it's coming out with a change of look?
Yes, definitely.
How's the look?
You know, say every time I give you the info and everything. I don't know
how's the look going to change? I mean, from this to what?
From this to the very good bad boy. So when you see stuff that the ladies love more, then you definitely know that the boy, it's taking a different turn.
Aren't you worried that none of the videos can be played on traditional media?
The focus is not really traditional media. You get what I mean? And then you should know dancehall. When we have a raw version, we definitely have clean versions. So the target is also to take the music to a different audience who love that kind of craft. Example, we have amazing artists out there doing stuff like that. Dexter Dabbs, we have Cranium, So It's just a little twist to the episode you already know.
We keep it 100 positive. 1,000 degrees, I keep it hot in the scene. Episode me and I run up the in the mouth. Them still run up for we. Roman is this a Rolex, it get back. Hey, Charlie Fresh. You know what I'm saying?
So we'll see how this pans out. I don't know whether we can have another cranium here in Ghana.
I'm actually wondering who's going to play that actually.
Well, we play cranium songs. Nobody have to know, say me, yeah, nobody have to know.
Yeah, because the words are not so explicit.
Well, but
they're not so clear.
Well, let's do some comedy. Now remember Obian Ponsan. He's a comedian. Yeah. So he is saying that he will continue to do jokes, or he continued to share jokes about politicians and politics. He had an incident sometime last year with a politician. He's actually a member of parliament.
Okay, there was a bit of backlash on that.
On Twitter. And so when we caught up with him just recently, we asked him, what happened, would you stop? He said, nah.
Going to make political jokes.
Oh yes, they are funny. Politicians are chewing paper and we can't laugh at it. Then they will castrate me.
Obi, I remember your political issue, your political joke that you made and the issue, and now that B and I are picking up people.
Look, there are a lot of funny stuff these politicians have done that you cannot tell a comedian not to make a joke about it. If journalists can report about it, we as comedians owe it a duty to Ghanaians to make them laugh about this stuff. We saw people kicking ballot boxes. We saw women seated on other men in parliament. We saw DJ Bomenyom. We saw shoes. Come on, you say we can't laugh at this. I mean, allow comedians to do their jobs. Yeah.
So,
I mean, for me, if it's funny, I'll say it. And we report nothing but the truth. Yeah, so, I mean, was it not funny?
Was Choboy.
Charlie, guys,
if it's not funny, then we won't talk about it.
I'm waiting for you to put it in a more funny way.
Oh, that incident itself is a joke.
Yes. Choboy.
Yeah. I was actually going to say that. I think it's fair game.
Easy boy, and you.
Okay. Choboy.
Hey.
No, which kind? Okay, Choboy.
Hey.
Choboy.
Hey.
David Boyanyum. Yeah, David is the producer and the studio director. He can play some. David, play some song.
Do you
play
want
something?
Would you like to dance for us?
No, I just want David to play something.
Just play and then we walk off the set.
You just play something.
You're supposed to be teaching us how to dance. I would love to dance now.
No. Okay, we'll bring the song later. So David,
when is later? Tomorrow is later.
No, David, get some music on standby. We'll come. Let's finish.
Okay, let's remember Kobe Bryant. Today is exactly a year ago. He passed on with his daughter, and a lot of almost everybody has been remembering him on this day. And for those of us here, I would like us to remember him for the things the impacts that he's made. And he's been advising that we make sure that our works impact others positively. Okay. He said this. We will also continue to keep moving forward.
Yeah, sure.
That's the only thing that we can do.
Right, thank you very much, Becky Bex, for bringing us Showbiz. That'll be it for those of you watching on Joy Prime, but there's more news on the Joy News channel. Choboy. Parliament has postponed for the third time debate on the motion moved by MP for Boku Central Mama Yaraga, requesting government to absorb fees of students in public tertiary institutions for the 2020-21 academic year. The Speaker explains the debate has been moved to Thursday because of the funeral of former President John Rawlings. This will not be the first time the House has deferred the debate after the side raised a number of objections against the motion, all of which the Speaker overruled. Kweku Asante has more in the following report.
Parliament will on Thursday debate a motion moved by MP for Boko Central, Mahama Ayariga, on public tertiary education fees. The motion, if adopted by the House, will request President Akufo-Addo to waive fees for students in public tertiary institutions as part of government's COVID-19 relief program. Last week, the NDC MP moved the motion and urged his colleague MPs to support it to reduce the financial hardship on Ghanaians occasioned by COVID-19. Mahama Ayariga, speaking on the floor of the makeshift chamber of the House, argued that since the academic year had already begun, a decision ought to be taken immediately on the motion.
And so I stand ready to move the motion, but I've just got signal from leadership, Mr. Speaker, that in view of the funeral and other considerations, they want to propose that we take the motion on Thursday. But, Mr. Speaker, you recall that this is an urgent motion. The students are struggling across the country to pay their fees. If we wait until Thursday, many more students will be adversely affected. And so I will urge that we proceed to consider the motions and take a decision, Mr. Speaker. We're either voting for it or voting against it.
But the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin, postponed the debate to Thursday, citing the ongoing funeral of the late President, Jerry John Rawlings, as the reason.
Tomorrow is the funeral, and we'll be caught up at the Independence Square. This is also a very urgent matter, and our students, who are our children, our guardians, will not be happy with us continuously adjourning the motion. But the situation too is such that we can't continue with the motion. So I want to plead with them to bear with us, because a lot of work has been done on it. But just to read my ruling, so that on Thursday when we come back, we just go straight to debate and move the consequential resolution on the matter.
Speaker Alban Bagbin also gave reasons for his ruling of last week, dismissing some objections raised against the motion by some NPP members of Parliament.
It is a well-known fact that these institutions, in handing out letters of admission, request the admittee to pay an admission fee before he or she will be enrolled in and permitted full access to the school as a student. The wording on his face cannot therefore be the basis for rendering same as incompetent. Other terms were used like user fees and others, but as I drew earlier on, the phrase was not just admission fee, but admission fees, which is a general term covering other fees that are charged students. Honorable members, the huge impact on the livelihoods of Ghanaians brought on by COVID-19 pandemic cannot be overemphasized. It is my ruling, therefore, that the substance of the motion is unassailable and shall be allowed to prevail in the interest of the parents, guardians, students, and the institutions concerned. Having been so determined, the motion as moved and seconded will not be dismissed.
Meanwhile, Majority Leader Osei Chairman Sabonsu has indicated the readiness of his side to debate the motion on Thursday, adding they will also subject the ruling of the Speaker to some scrutiny.
So, Mr. Speaker, we act accordingly on Thursday. And I believe that when we come to the debate, the guidance that you have offered to guide us may perhaps also have to come under some scrutiny. And we certainly scrutinize the guidance. We'll be informed by the guidance, but if needs be, we shall scrutinize the guidance.
Now, Speaker of Parliament of Mbagbing is urging members of Parliament to undergo their medical screening and coronavirus testing by the close of day today. Speaking at the commencement of House business, the Speaker indicated the checks from the Parliamentary Health Centre show that some MPs have still not done the test or undertaking the coronavirus testing. Members of Parliament were directed last week by the Speaker of Parliament to undergo medical screening as well as to test for COVID-19. This is on the back of a surge in the country's coronavirus cases.
The medical screening is still ongoing, and the COVID-19 test is also still ongoing. We arranged with the Noguchi Institute to use 3 days. The 3 days are over, but I'm reliably informed that a number of our members have not yet taken the opportunity to either do the screening or even to undergo the COVID-19 test. Honorable members, I will humbly urge that you all take this opportunity seriously and go through it by the end of today. The team is still at the Parliament Medical Center waiting for members to do so.
The Mahin of the Ogwa traditional area of Sabarima Kwesiata II on Tuesday morning embarked on free distribution of face masks and hand sanitizers to people in his traditional area. He says the spike in the cases is very scary and wants his people to comply with the COVID-19 protocols. Richard Kojonyaku has more in the following report.
That the people are immersed.
Residents of Cape Coast were pleasantly surprised upon seeing the Omahin of the Ogwa traditional area of Sabarima Kwesiata II and the regional police commander DCOP Habiba Chumesi and her team on the principal street of Cape Coast distributing face masks and sanitizers. The distribution was interspersed with broadcasts on public address systems by the Omahin, urging his people to stick to the protocols as the cases surge.
We all are aware of the dangers of the coronavirus, and people must be made aware that we can avoid the impact of this pandemic if we wear face masks, sanitizers, wash our hands under running water. And you can only let the people know by setting example. That is why we have been lucky this morning to have free face masks and sanitizers. And it's only proper that me, being the Omahin of this town, together with the regional commander, walk through the principal street of Cape Coast to deliver some of these products to the residents of Cape Coast, and at the same time educate them on the use of these, so that from tomorrow onwards they will continue to wear these protective gadgets to avoid any impact of the disease.
Central Regional Police Commander DCOP Habiba Chumesi says the police needed to combine the law enforcement with education and sensitization on the protocols.
So we did in collaboration with Castle FM and the philanthropists who donated the masks and the sanitizers, and we decided to share free of charge, to teach, to sensitize members of the public so that they wear it and protect themselves, their loved ones, and all of us.
What you have done tomorrow, what's going to happen? Are you going to ensure the strict compliance of these protocols, wearing the face mask? Because earlier your outfit had arrested some people and then they were left as a warning or something. What is going to happen?
We will continue to enforce the laws as directed, because that is our mandated task. At the same time, we also encourage members of the public, a lot more of them, to also continue to wear it, first of all, to know that it is in their own interest.
The market queen of the Abra market, Madam Cecilia Agri, had these words of advice to her colleagues and residents.
This is a signal to us that if you doesn't wear the nose mask, they have every right to arrest you. For last week, there were so many complaints, they were not informed and so forth and so on. But now that they have given you, you have to wear it. So when they come and they see you not wearing it and they arrest you, I will not go there to plead for anybody. And I'm appealing to the market woman too, that everybody should wear his or her nose mask, because it is good for your own health, to protect you from the disease that is hanging around in the air.
So this is the market queen of Abra, advising or admonishing her people that they should comply with the law. Earlier, when the people came to arrest them, they were not happy. She says that there were so many complaints because the people were complaining that they were not informed, they didn't have the mask. But now that they have been given the face mask by the police administration and the Omahine of the Ugwa traditional area, then the burden shifts to them to wear the face mask so that they would not be arrested.
The Garden City Special School is dedicating 7 weeks of the semester to educate pupils on COVID-19 and the preventive protocols. This is targeted at enhancing adherence to the safety protocols among the students with special needs. Headmistress RAWLINGS Japan has envisaged 40% of the students will fail to get a full grasp of the pandemic and preventive protocols. But with a robust system, students will adhere to the protocols. Nanea Jima visited the school for children with special needs and filed this report.
It's break time here at Garden City Special School at Asokore Mampong in Kumasi. Various class teachers are joined by the school head, convincing students with special needs to wear their face mask. Some have dropped the masks to their chin, as others hide them in their pockets. In the joy of meeting friends after the long COVID-19 school break, the children ignore calls from their teachers to space up. At the dining hall, head teacher RAWLINGS Japan attempts to find out how much these students know about the pandemic. Some of them give interesting answers.
We have to wear the nose masks, wash our hands and also sanitize our hands, and also stay distant.
Enti oba school no udi sa nema we nyina so oye enti se oba school no.
The pandemic is not over. It's still there. I tell my colleagues to keep a distance so they don't get the virus and die.
One of the students, Kingsley Opoku, is worried cases of COVID-19 continue to rise. Hence his decision to keep his mask on and his sanitizer in his pockets. The pandemic started in 2020 and it has stayed with us to date. It hasn't subsided. Intellectual functioning and adaptive behavior are limitations of children with special needs. Though the school authorities admit ensuring adherence to the protocols will be difficult, they assured a lot is being done. Mrs. Japan explains.
So for the first 7 weeks, we are just going to talk about COVID-19 with the children. We know about 60% of them will get it. The others, we will have to help them to go through the protocols every day. And even the 60% that I am envisaging that they will get it, we need to supervise because they have short-term memory. So, and the way they learn is through reinforcing, through repetition. And that's what we are going to do with the protocols. You need to always remind them to do what you want them to do.
Already, teachers have been assigned to student groups to aid adherence to the protocols. Also, regular disinfection will be done in classrooms, dormitories, and dining halls to ensure safety of students.
For the boys, we didn't have a problem. Their beds are spaced, well spaced. For the girls, we had a challenge because the beds were together. So we had to create a room and send all their clothes outside from the dormitories. So now we have big spaces for them in the dormitories, and the girls can also observe the social distancing. Now, when they come to the classrooms, the desks, in our classrooms, we are allowed to put mats on the floor for some to sit on. So those who do not want to sit on chairs, or those that we think can't distance themselves enough, we put them on the mats. Because for them, you'll be teaching and somebody will be sleeping.
From Kumasi for Joy News, Nana Ojima reporting.
Commercial transport operators in the Upper West region have been tasked to ensure that the COVID-19 preventive protocols are strictly adhered to. At a news conference in Wa to outline measures to fight the pandemic, Senior Industrial Relations Officer of the Upper West Branch of the Ghana Private Road Transport Union, Alhaji Nuhu Mahama, tasked station masters, porters, drivers and their mates to follow the health protocols by wearing their face masks, provide Veronica bucket with water and soap at vantage points at lorry terminals, and above all, ensure the passengers who board their buses wear face masks. It says failure to do so will mean they will face sanctions. Joy News Upper West Region correspondent Rafiq Salam reports from Wa.
The press conference came on the heels of a Joy News report at the Wa Central Business District, precisely at the Loro Station and the Wa Daily Market, of the disregard for the safety health protocols for COVID-19. Representatives of all 42 branches of the Upper West Branch of the Ghana Private Road Transport Union attended the press conference. Senior Industrial Relations Officer of the Upper West Branch of the Ghana Private Road Transport Union, Alhaji Nuhu Mahama, addressed the press on behalf of the Regional Branch Chairman, Alhaji Idrisu Mahmoud.
Compulsory wearing of face masks must be enforced at all our lorry terminals by the drivers, driver mates, porters, and the traveling public before embarking on their journeys. 2. The station masters and porters must provide enough Veronica buckets at all the loading points and terminals for hand washing. No face masks, no entry, must explicitly display at the entrance of all vehicles and the station at large. All levels of the union shall provide hand sanitizers to the passengers before and during their travel.
The measures outlined task all GPRQ branches in the region to put in place COVID-19 protocols inspection task force at all our terminals in the region.
We are to do what at the regional secretariat to form COVID-19 protocol inspection task force at all lorry terminals to enforce all safety protocols. All stations must provide jingles that will create awareness to the general public on the safety protocols and renewed enforcement. To achieve this, we solicit the support of all security agencies and the media to deal with the recalcitrant persons who followed this directive.
Porters, drivers and their mates who fail to adhere to the safety health protocols will be severely dealt with.
It is enshrined in our constitution, and that will be suspension. For the first time, it has got 8 number of days that we can suspend you for the first offense. The second offense, we have to increase it, and so on and so on. So that one has been enshrined in our constitution. Yes, if some of them are proven recalcitrant, if we sanction you and you want to prove that you are above the law, you can take the law into your own hands, then we will call in the police to help us.
Reporting for J News, Rafik Salam.
Former President John Dramani Mahama has rallied the rank and file of the NDC to stay true and committed to the party's survival even after the exit of the founder. Drawing comparison between the MPP and the CPP, the former president urged party faithful to, now more than ever, close their ranks and eschew greed and selfishness to prevent a situation where splinter groups emerge from the party. He was speaking at a public lecture organized by the NDC in honor of the late former president. Latif Idris was there and reports.
Unless those of us who knew him and worked with him document his life and works for posterity, the historians of the hunter will write that history for us. And so 2 things that we must do as his comrades: document the history of his period and his life and works in Ghana's politics.
The former president again observed that the passing of the late former president presents a real test to the NDC's survival in Ghana's politics.
We have to identify what holds us together and to accentuate the things that bind us together. You should remember that we have opponents who would use material resources, they will use inducements, they will use fear, they will use coercion to achieve whatever they want. No scruples, no ethics. And so with opponents like that, now more than ever before, is when we should close our ranks to ensure the survival of our party and our tradition. The challenge that political parties face that makes the difference between success and failure is how you survive the passing of your founder. Today, MPP has no founder. They're dead and gone, but they've survived as a party. Today, CPP has no founder. Nkrumah is dead and gone. But CPP is splintered into so many different little parties. Today, our founder has passed. How are we going to maintain the success of continuing this political tradition and holding together? The only way we can do that is to exercise the sense of selfishness and greed that makes some of us sell our party and our comrades for a pittance. We must have a sense of sacrifice. We must have a collective responsibility to keep our party intact and together in order that we can protect and preserve the memory of this great man.
Hello there, it's now time for business. Ghana will displace Ivory Coast to become the lead exporter and earner of palm oil production in West Africa for the next 5 years. There is more in this report.
Ghana's palm oil production will increase by an average of 4.4% year-on-year from 2021 to 2025, with a growth rate increasing at the end of that period. This means the nation would dislodge Ivory Coast as the regional top performer. According to the report, a number of recent establishments of both industry and government bodies to regulate and support the palm industry have improved the potential of the national sector compared with other countries in the region. Already, the Ghana Export Promotion Authority and the Ministry of Trade are seeking to develop a palm oil surplus from which they estimate $134 million could be earned within the next 10 years through exports. The Oil Palm Development Association of Ghana was revived in 2015 and is currently being supported by the Solidaridad in a strategic plan to improve its governance and administration by 2024. The government has also recently provided support for the sector in multiple ways, which Fitch Solutions and Bloomberg believe will incentivize further investments in the coming years. However, despite the recent developments in the Ghanaian palm oil sector, production growth will fail to meet demand growth. Also, West Africa will not become a major global supplier of palm oil in the coming years, with the top producers remaining in Southeast Asia.
Well, the General Manager of Operations at Busy Bee Pure Honey, Kwame Che Aduboy, has urged the Ghana Standards Authority to relax its standardization of the exportation of pure honey. According to him, the high standard imposed by the authority is negatively affecting the exportability of the product. He spoke to my colleague, Emma Davis.
With the international side, it's 14 to 21% moisture. And then they have 0 or 1% to 9% sucrose. But it's in grades, like I said. But in Ghana, ours is 5. So what we are doing is that with the international standardization, we meet halfway. Because if even Standards Authority is saying that moisture should be 23%, if you are getting 23% moisture in honey, it means that you are getting about 10 to 11% sucrose.
So you mentioned about the lowering of standards by the Ghana Standard Authority. Okay. How has that affected business?
We at Busy Bee haven't been actually affected by that standardization. Okay. But one of our colleagues on the market, recently I heard that he actually went for a contract from the EU to be able to supply honey. So he was able to collect about 2,000 tons. He was able to collect that much, and he exported it as the first approved import or export of honey from Ghana, or West Africa.
Yeah, I was coming to come to that because some research I read showed that Ghana is in agreement with the EU to export honey, but then we haven't. So you are telling
we
me.
did. Okay. Ghana did. But just that there was an issue with the honey because of the standard. Okay. There is one thing we call crystallization. That is what affected that batch of honey that was sent out because the standard was very low. They would also want to meet the Ghana Standards Authority standard by 5%. Now 5%, if you're getting 5% or 4% of sucrose in honey, you should be getting about maximum 15%. You understand? Maximum 15% of moisture. Yeah. The lower the moisture in honey, the higher the swifter or the faster the honey will crystallize. Now, it might do well here as a polyfloral, but as soon as it changes temperature from transportation, from storage, and in this case, you are taking from different sources together, you understand, to export. So it is a long process. Yes, it's a long route before it gets to the EU. It got there and all the 20,000 tons had crystallized. So now that I heard, from last that I heard, it's still sitting in the warehouses. You understand? So if Ghana Standards Authority or if our standards could be raised just a little, because honey with about 7%, 8%, 9% sucrose is still good to consume. Because like I was telling you, all these samples that are here, some of them are 8%, some of them are 7%, some of them are 9%, and we can't buy from them. So those ones can meet the international standard, but Standards Authority won't approve it. FDA won't approve.
Now, even as Ghana and the rest of Africa get into a single market through the Continental Free Trade Agreement, there are fears that the non-existence of a single airline market could defeat the very purpose of this single market pact. For this to happen, the former head of commercial of Amtrak Air, as well as an aviation expert, Richard Chere, is calling for the single Africa air transport market framework to be fully implemented. But before we take a listen to what exactly he has to say, let's pull up this fact sheet on this I beg your pardon, on the single African graphics, which of course helps us understand from the very first point that it is a flagship program of the AU Agenda 2063, which seeks to create a liberalized single air market within the African continent. We are also gathering, based on this fact sheet on your screens, that it provides a framework for the protection of consumer rights, fair competition among the participating players, as well as a platform for dispute resolution. And the third point being that as of January 2020, only 34 countries, including Ghana, had signed a commitment to this particular trade pact. Also, in the absence of this agreement, a bilateral services agreement is being used by countries to enhance commercial aviation and trade activities. Let's now hear from the aviation expert, Richard Treb, who I spoke to earlier on the marketplace.
If you look at our continent, taxes within the continent are very high, and based on jurisdictions of each and every carrier, you have taxes which has been imposed. For instance, if I'm flying from Accra to Lagos, you have close to $150 or less dollars between Accra and Lagos. That is taxes alone. More or less, if you look at Europe market, it's a different thing altogether. You can fly from any part of Europe, and the taxes on it will be less than $8. So these are things that we need to actually look at to ensure that the implementation of the single African air transport market becomes a reality. To abolish most of all these taxes and other impediments has to be cleared.
Well, so moving forward, how can we achieve the full implementation of this very much brilliant initiative?
We need to encourage governments. Currently, we have close to 21 countries who have not signed on this, and we need to encourage them to do so. Again, they need to also realize the needs and the returns that will be contributed into the GDP of these economies. At the background of this, a study was conducted between 12 countries, and out of the study, we realized that, which Ghana was actually part of that study, we realized that when we implement this, fares will be reduced by about 25 to 35%, and that is significant. About close to 5 million persons who ordinarily will not be able to afford air travel will be able to afford that. So this and many more, our region will be interconnected, and connectivity is key at this point in time. Now that we have AFTA, it is important to make sure we liberalize our airspace so that air transport, connectivity, our goods and services will be able to have a good intra-African connectivity within.
Well, let's still stay with the Continental Free Trade Agreement, because there are growing fears that Ghanaian entrepreneurs could lose out on the benefits of the single market, which of course has already kicked in. Even as we host the Secretariat and the trade already beginning since January, outstanding challenges crippling the competitiveness of young entrepreneurs still linger on. I earlier spoke with the Chamber of Entrepreneurs, of which Sheriff Gali is a CEO.
We need to understand is that aside all this, we are looking at a country that should have a strategy for after. No matter the situations we are facing internally when it comes to our entrepreneurs not being able to access funding. Now let's ask ourselves, what is the strategy of Ghana as far as after is concerned? How are we planned, or what is our program lineup going into after? That is one thing that is lacking. I know almost all the African countries also have issues with access to credit and all these things. But the fact is that they all have a strategy. The Nigerians will tell you that they are going to make sure that they become the tech giants in Africa. What is Ghana hoping to sell out? You see, if we are able to
does it mean that we have nothing? Does it mean that we have nothing to sell out at this point?
Well, you and I know that I will not say we do not have, but let's be honest. Even the cocoa, that is one of our strengths. How much of the cocoa are we having as end product that we are able to take out, even within Ghana? How much of our cocoa companies are able to come out with finished product that they sell in our market. We do not have. They can't even supply. Let's put it that way. If you are looking for any product of, let's say, chocolate, go to the shopping mall. You will see at least 90% of the foreign chocolate. So now, what is the trend? I am not saying that we have a lot that we can hammer on. The tech industry is there. We are looking at the agro-processing business. All these are sectors that Ghana can really focus on and export, especially after it's concerned. But as it stands now, you and I are not too clear about what is really our strategy as a country. So for that reason, businesses are left onto their own to struggle and to even understand the NAFTA is one of the things. How do they leverage that? So even if today, our government is able to provide funding, even if today our businesses are able to access funding and land and all this, but at the end of the day, what is our strategy? How are we even helping these businesses to go beyond the borders of Ghana?
And that's how we draw the curtains on business for this edition. I'm Charles Ayatim. Many thanks for your time.
It's time to bring you the second installment of sports here on Joy News Prime. I'm Hans Mensah, and Thomas Tuchel has been appointed as the new head coach of Chelsea. The German was confirmed earlier today as a successor to Frank Lampard, who was sacked yesterday. The club said Tuchel has signed an 18-month contract with the possibility of an extension. Chelsea also confirmed that Tuchel would take charge of his first training session on Tuesday evening and will be in charge in the Stamford Bridge dugout for Wednesday's Premier League clash against Wolves. Tuchel was available after his departure from Paris Saint-Germain, where he won back-to-back Liga titles and reached last season's Champions League final before being replaced by ex-Spurs boss Mauricio Pochettino. Let's take a quick look at the numbers behind his managerial career. There you go. 447 matches. He's had 256 wins and 79 draws. He's lost a total of 112 games and scored 929 goals. 516 conceded. He's won a total point of 847 from the German Bundesliga through to the French Ligue 1 and averaging 1.89 points per game. He's won 9 trophies in his career, and he's spent on a total of 190 players, and 62 of them he purchased with transfer fees. New man, new era for Chelsea. Let's move on to former Aston Villa and Middlesbrough midfielder George Boateng. He's revealed to Joy Sports why he chose the Netherlands over Ghana in the early 2000s. Although born at Nkoko, Boateng chose to represent the Netherlands at international level, earning 4 caps in total for Orange.
When I was in Holland as a little kid and I started playing football, I was recognized quite early. So when I was 18, I was playing for the national team under 18. And nobody from Black Stars really saw or noticed me playing for Holland under 18s team. And then I moved to the under 21s. And those days, you were still eligible to choose and change. It's still the same actually now. So once you haven't played a senior level, you can still change. So what happened was I became captain for the national team of under 21 for Holland. But nobody really from the Black Star Federation, GFA, flew over to Holland to watch me play or send an email or a letter or an invitation or to express their interest, to say that, oh, we've noticed that your parents are Ghanaian, you were born in Ghana, would you be willing to play for the national team? So that never took place. And the Dutch KNVB, they never hesitated because they could see the qualities that I had, that I would be maybe a valuable player for them. So once I played for the under-21s and I was transferred from Feyenoord Rotterdam to Coventry City, I spent a year and a half at Coventry City, moved to Aston Villa. And in my second season at Aston Villa, I was called up to the national team. So you can imagine from the age of 18 until 26, right? Ghana had plenty of time to still send an invitation, to still ask whether I would like to play for the Black Stars or not. And that never came, unfortunately. So it's not like I had a choice. It just, life was just like that. That's how it went, and there's nothing we can change. So please don't think that I did not want to play for the Black Stars. It would have been an honor, but it did not turn that way because there was no interest expressed from the GFA side.
And that's it for sports. There is more at myjoyonline.com/sports. My name is Hans Mensah, and many thanks for your time. Do also remember to follow us on all the social media platforms, Joy Sports GH, Joy Sports on Facebook, also Joy Sports GH on Instagram. Many thanks for your time.
Right, and that'll be it for the bulletin. I'm Israelite. Thank you very much for watching. You have a good night.